Are you sitting on a gold mine of ideas, but no idea how to start on any of them? Well, today we are going to learn how to give your ideas the space they deserve and how to take those crucial first steps. Hello friend and fellow adventurer. Welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad that you are here. As you know, we are diving into our cozy countdown to the end of the year, where we are trying to find ways to avoid hustle culture, but also prepare ourselves for a really nice, gentle launch into 2025. Before we move on, I do just want to stop and shout out my amazing guild members over on my Patreon, the Rooted Guild. They are amazing. I cannot thank you enough for your phenomenal support. If you are interested in joining them, you can. The guild is open, both for free and paid members. Obviously, there are perks as you move up in the tier system, but there's a lot of great stuff over there, even for the free members. I would love for you to come along. You'll see all the behind the scenes stuff that I'm doing, which is a lot, including self-publishing a fantasy duology next year, among other things, like a random podcast that is fairly irregular, but I do update on occasion, and this wonderful YouTube channel, along with just trying to survive as a human out there. It's crazy. All right, so if you are joining right now, I would encourage you to pause and go back and watch this video, because that is step one in this Sidequester strategy guide that I am walking you through. Last video is phase one, which is the gather phase. Again, if you have not watched that one, I would highly encourage you to watch that one first, simply because we are going to be implementing things we learned from that video into this video. If you would like a longer-winded, overarching tour of the whole system, then check out this video. I'm very long-winded in that one, so if you're like, let's cut to the chase, watch the gather phase one, and then come back here. If you chose to ignore my instructions, let me give you a super quick, brief rundown, and if you already know this, then you can just skip to the next chapter. The Sidequester Strategy Guide is a flexible framework. It's 6 phases. This is something I created specifically for creatives, specifically multi-passionate creatives, to learn how to manage their ideas instead of being overwhelmed by them. This is not a quick fix. This is not an overnight solution on how to go viral. This is something to implement long-term in your life, to create a rhythm. This is a tool to help you visualize your unique creative journey. It is completely retrofittable. I don't know if that's a word, but you can retrofit this however you need it, and you can take what you need and leave the rest. You can use just a little bit of it, or you can use the whole thing. Sidequester Strategy Guide. That is the quick rundown for those of you who chose to ignore and not go back, which is okay. I ignore the instructions a lot too. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in. Remember, last week we were talking about brainstorming, and our big key takeaway on that was we need to learn not to filter our ideas too soon. I hammered this point home, and I will continue to do so until the day I die. In this next phase, the catalog phase, we are still not filtering. We're still not filtering our ideas. We're simply going to catalog them a little bit so we have a little bit more of a clear direction in what we are going to do with those ideas, when we're going to start taking action on those ideas, and which ideas might be for a later date. The Sidequester Strategy Guide, as you already know, draws inspiration from Skyrim. If you haven't played the game, it is okay. You can stick around. It's not going to throw off anything that I'm going to teach you here. But if you're nerdy like me, it does make it a little bit more fun. If we're gonna have to be organized and a little bit put together in our creative journey, it might as well be fun and nerdy, so why not? My favorite video game. In the brainstorm phase, we are focusing on gathering raw materials. Remember, we discussed that there are 2 kind of approaches that people generally take in Skyrim when gathering raw materials. There are people like me who kind of hoard. They don't really care if they're going to use it now or later. They don't really think about it. They just kind of gather whatever you can pick up. And then there are people like my husband who are a bit more minimalistic and have a bit more of a strategy. In the brainstorming phase, we are focusing on gathering, hoarding ideas. We're not filtering in any way. We're just grabbing raw materials for our potential creative projects. Now that we're moving into the catalog phase, we're still not filtering, but we are going to go into that inventory that we have and maybe just catalog it a bit more. If you've ever played any kind of video game like Skyrim, there will be an inventory menu that you can open up, and it kind of separates things out like clothes, armor, weapons, ingredients. We're doing the same thing with our ideas. We're kind of going in and separating them enough so we can kind of see what is going on. Since the brainstorm phase is focusing about quantity over quality, the catalog phase is focusing on connecting with our ideas and giving them some space to walk around and breathe, so that when it does come time to filter in our next phase, we're a little bit better prepared to do so. Today, I think what's going to work really, really well is if I actually show you this in real time. So I am going to change camera positions, and I am going to show you the physical copy of me walking through this phase with you. All right, so we are actually going to do a quick brainstorm session. This is a part of my Clarity Quest. You can get this at the link below if you're interested. This has a few of my favorite resources that most people find very helpful, but right now we are working on, pardon the name, I have now since changed it. It's now updated, but this is what we're working on. We are starting here. Let's just do a quick brainstorming session. Again, this can be on a macro level or a micro level. For now, let's go with a macro level. Let's just talk about what are some ideas that I would love to do. Okay, let's see. Creative retreats. International travel. I've always wanted to do a schoolie. I want to draw in the manga style. Want to have an online digital shop. I want brand deals for social media. And right now I'm just doing some quick brainstorming, some things that I know I want to do that will work for just giving you an idea of how we're moving through this process. So thriving newsletter, let's see, what are some other things? I want to write a book, which I am doing right now, but I'll go ahead and here. I'll say write books. And then I actually want to make this Sidequester strategy guide into a physical book. Okay. Let's stick with that. Okay. Now, that is a very quick brainstorming session. Generally, my brainstorming sessions are going to be if I'm trying to brainstorm for a particular thing. Let's say that I am wanting to brainstorm about creative retreats specifically. I might brainstorm ideas specifically for the creative retreats in mind. Right now, I'm just doing a quick brainstorm so you can kind of see how my process works, how this process works with just a lot of random ideas, because this works on a macro level as well. So now that we've done a quick brainstorming session, reminder, your brainstorming session will be much more prolific than that. We are going to move to the catalog phase. And this is where we're at today. We're going to be using this list of ideas and we're going to be moving it over here into the catalog phase. In this space here, I have a section for appreciation and inspiration. The reason I have this space here is because a lot of times we gather our inspiration from other artists, other creators. And I say appreciation and inspiration because so many times we are comparing ourselves to others, and we don't want to compare in a way of I am not where they are and therefore I cannot pursue this idea. Fill in the blank. So this is an area where you can add who are some artists that you really aspire to be like, who are some content creators that you really are inspired by, what are some accounts, some approaches. This is where you can put some inspiration. Okay, so I will put, for example, one of my favorite accounts when it comes to writing, well, really to art in general, is Inspired to Write. Amy and her husband are amazing, and I love the inspiration that they bring. I love their approach to sharing their art, the veracity in which they express that other artists should also be sharing their art, and just resonating with what a lot of artists struggle with. Inspired to Write is one of my favorite ones. Oh shoot, I can't remember her particular Instagram handle, but her name is Victoria, and she does a lot of body positivity / neutrality, of just accepting your body the way it is. I really enjoy her approach. It's very nerdy, but it's also very like big sister, spiritual auntie approach, if you will. So Victoria, I'm trying to think of somebody else. Oh, Glow Graphics. She's great. There are so many I can put on here, but I'm going to just put those 3 for now so that you have an idea. This is a space for you to put down people, artists, or approaches that you really enjoy, that inspire you. In this phase, what we're going to do is just look at what are some recurring ideas and what are some favorite ideas. Now, once you move through this entire process multiple times, you are going to have a catalog, an inventory of backlogged ideas that you haven't taken any steps on yet, but they are ideas you do want to take steps on. So this is what kind of the recurring ideas is. This is something that, okay, I always keep coming back to this idea. And then we're also going to talk about favorite ideas. And it's okay if the ideas fall into both, but we just want to kind of take this list of brainstormed ideas and move them into these buckets. So let me see, I'll scoot this here so you can kind of see. Here, this is what we'll do. So you can see, I should have gotten this better prepared, but hey, we're a newbie. We're figuring out how to do the YouTube thing with what we've got, which is an iPhone, a mic, and a lamp over there. Okay, so here are my ideas that I came up with in my brainstorm. So the creative retreats, specifically, I'm just gonna put these together. International, as well as in the United States, creative retreats. This has been a recurring idea for a while, and honestly, it's one of my favorite ideas as well. Creative retreats. And if you want to make this simpler, if you wanted to number these ideas 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then just put the numbers in, you can do that too. You can do whatever you want. International travel. Okay, so a schoolie has been one of my favorite ideas. Honestly, it has also been a recurring idea, and you might actually have most of your ideas being both recurring and favorite. But the reason I say that is sometimes you have ideas that you're like, oh, this would be fun, but it's not necessarily a recurring idea. It's just an idea that as of late has been a favorite idea. So let's see. Draw manga, that's more of a favorite idea. Let's see. Favorite idea. Brand deals. Let's look. And it's okay if some of these don't even fit in either of these boxes. That's okay too. We're not getting rid of these. We're just trying to identify which ideas are really like keep coming up, and then the ideas that you're like, ooh, this really fires me up. Let's see. Just an online shop. That's recurring. Let's look. Newsletter. I mean, it is an idea that I enjoy doing the newsletter. It's also one of those things that ends up being kind of a backseat priority when other things come up. I wouldn't even say it's recurring. It's just something that I know I probably need to cultivate a bit more of. So we'll just leave that over here in the ideas for now. Write books. That has been a new thing, and I have enjoyed it. And it is a favorite thing. But honestly, that was never a recurring idea in the past, and that's okay. But wanting to make the Sidequester's strategy guide into a physical book has been around for a while. It keeps coming back up. So that was really quick. You might need to take a little bit longer. I wanted to just do this quickly for a visual for you. But you'll kind of see, okay, here are my ideas in my brainstorm that I did here. And I'm kind of looking here to say, okay, these are my recurring ideas. So I keep thinking about creative retreats, specifically international, but creative retreats. I have been thinking about a school leave for probably 15 years now. I've been talking about an online shop for a while, putting these things. I technically have an online shop, but I really want to make like a really pretty online shop where I can make some residual income. And then I've really wanted to make this Sidequester strategy guide. Again, remember, just ignore this name. That was the old name. But I've really wanted to make the Sidequester strategy guide into a physical book. These are some recurring ideas for me. They keep coming up, they keep coming up, they keep coming up. Some of my favorite ideas are also in the recurring ideas, but some of my favorite ideas, especially recently, is I really want to learn to draw in the style of manga. I'd really like to land some brand deals so that I could, again, make more money and not have all of my eggs in one basket. And it's newer, but I also want to write books. All right, we are going to switch back to face-to-face so that we can continue our chat. All right, so we went ahead and did a little bit of cataloging of our ideas. Now that might seem very, very simplistic, and you might be thinking, I could just skip this step. And the truth is, you could absolutely skip this step. What I have found by taking a little bit of extra time to do this, it really allows my ideas to have space to exist. There are two places where I have found most creatives filter their ideas. The first one is in the brainstorming phase, which we've talked about, and the second one is in this phase. Sometimes we can get past the initial shock of brainstorming some crazy ideas, but some of us really struggle after coming up with that list of ideas to immediately start discrediting all of those ideas and saying, they don't deserve any more of my energy even thinking about. This is where the catalog phase is really, really great. How many times have you played Skyrim or any game that has any sort of inventory that you've had something in the inventory for a really, 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 really long time, and then all of a sudden you're on a mission, you're on a side quest, whatever it might be, and all of a sudden you think, oh my gosh, that one random thing that I've been keeping forever, I can finally use it here. Perfect. It's the same concept with your ideas. You never know when your circumstances will change, and that idea that seemed absolutely impossible will now all of a sudden be perfect. It will be the perfect timing. You'll have the right resources. You'll have the right capacity. You'll have the right team. Whatever the case may be, this is why it's really important to give your ideas some space to live, to exist in the world. Right now, I do not have the team, the capacity, the money, the skill set to host international creative retreats. Now, if I had endless resources, I could pull it together. But truth be told, I cannot, where I'm currently at, do international creative retreats. It's a great idea. It's amazing. It's a great idea. I can't take action on it right now, but throwing it away would be a bummer because it's a good idea. All creatives need to get in the habit of being delusional enough to believe that even the ideas they can't take action on right now, they will be able to take action on one day. Now, there's a reason I always encourage creatives in this moment to sort of separate their ideas between recurring and favorite ideas. A lot of my recurring ideas end up being prophetic in some way, shape, or form. Even if I don't understand why they're there, why they keep showing up, if I keep an eye on them, sometimes they come back around. The schoolie is a great example as well. I'm not quite at the place where I can pursue the schoolie idea, but the schoolie has been something that has been recurring for a really, really long time. And it always seemed like it was never going to be possible. It was just going to be that Pinterest thing that I kept on my Pinterest board and pined after, knowing it was never going to happen. But it kept showing up. It kept coming to the forefront of my mind when I was brainstorming or thinking about the future. And now that I'm at where I'm at, we're still not at the place to fully pursue it, but all of a sudden everything around me is kind of coalescing to a point where a schoolie would solve an incredible number of solutions. This idea of a schoolie is prophetic in nature. Now, I can't take any sort of steps toward it right now other than save money and keep pinning to my Pinterest board. But now more than ever, I'm realizing the potential for it to come into existence now that I'm at where I'm at. If I would have given up on this a long time ago, who knows if I would have ever seen the vision. So instead of throwing away the idea, I just kept clocking it as a recurring idea. I kept putting it into the archives, and eventually one of those days when it keeps showing up, I will be able to say it is time to pull the trigger on that particular project. Your recurring ideas, you never know how prophetic they might be. You might be calling into existence something that you don't know will happen later down the road. Keep a watch on those ideas that keep you up at night that you know you can't pursue right now, but they keep showing up. You want to make sure you watch those. Your future self will thank you, I promise. And then favorite ideas. There are a lot of ideas, like I talked about, that I know I need to pursue, such as the newsletter. It's something that I enjoy, but it's not really a recurring idea, and it's not really a favorite idea. It's just an idea I know I need to take action on if I want to cultivate a community online, in online social media spaces. I know that it's not necessarily something I want to put a lot of time into if I had the choice. It's important to know which ideas are your favorite ideas and what ideas you kind of have to pursue out of obligation. It might be time to take action on some of your ideas that are not your favorite ideas, and they're not really recurring. You just know that I have to work on this if I also want this. It's really good to just know what ideas are there out of obligation and what are your actual favorite ideas, the ones that just light you up. Both are important, and it's really, really good to know the difference. This will help you in our next phase, and it will also help you when it comes time to actually do the thing. Before we move on to phase 3, this is a really great time for you to run through a 7 layers deep practice. Maybe you've heard of this before, maybe you haven't, but 7 layers deep is just a 45 to 60-minute practice that helps you get to your why, the root of why you are doing what you are doing. You are going to face resistance as a human, as an artist, but if you are really serious about learning how to cultivate this rhythm in your creative process of moving forward without the hustle, moving with ease, but also getting a little bit of structure and discipline in there, you are going to hit resistance. There are going to be moments where you want to give up. You don't want to do this anymore. It sounded really great 10 minutes ago, but you have since changed your mind and you want to give up on the whole thing. This is why having a very solid and profound why helps ground you in those moments when you are ready to give up. If your idea of I'm doing this because I want to make money truly that is not a strong enough motivation to keep you moving forward when things get hard. Now maybe it will be. Maybe it will be. It's just very rare that simply having more money is the motivation that keeps me going. Because at the end of the day, do I like not having a lot of money? Not particularly. Can I still function and have a happy life with the current budget that I have? Yes. When I am looking at myself in the mirror and wondering if I have any capabilities and I am doubting everything I've ever done, making more money is not a powerful enough motivator to keep me going. When a depressive wave hits, making money, just having more money, it doesn't solve all my problems. Sure, money does buy happiness, but it certainly does not buy purpose. And when you hit resistance, money is not enough in the long run. You know what is a powerful why when you're ready to give up? Is remembering I don't want to grow up the way my parents grew up without any money. I want to be able to sow joy into this generation and generations to come by being able to make an impact, by being wealthy, both in mental health, finances, you name it. That is a much more powerful why than simply, I would like to make a bigger paycheck. I find that doing a 7 layers deep practice here really pairs well with allowing yourself to visualize all these amazing ideas that perhaps you would have filtered out if you didn't meet me, who told you, don't filter those out. Once you get to this deep foundational motivator that really is going to help you push past the moments you are ready to give up, turn tail, and go in the other direction, you'll begin to understand why it's important not to filter. Because when you have a powerful, motivating why, your ideas don't feel so impossible anymore. They might seem totally out of reach, but all of a sudden you have this bigger vision in mind of, that does seem crazy, but I might be just delusional enough to go after that, because the portrait of my life that I want to paint and the portrait of my life that I want to look at for myself and to pass on to others around me, it's too important to throw away all of the amazing ideas, no matter how ridiculous they sound. If you are interested in doing a 7 layers deep practice, I have a link down below. Now, it is a little outdated. I need to update it, but I am one person and I have certain capacity. I still think it works. I still think it's helpful, and I still think it will be a meaningful and powerful practice for you. So make sure you check that out below. Well, friend, that is the end of this video, and I know that was a little bit shorter and to the point, and it might feel like a phase that you can just skip over, which if you don't need this phase, again, this is retrofittable. You can feel free to skip over and just go to the next phase. However, I really feel like giving yourself this extra space to let your ideas just breathe and to live in the hope that, what would my life look like if these delusional ideas came to pass? I think it's a really great practice for every creative, really every human to experience. Please comment down below if this is something you are going to participate in, if you've heard of a 7 layers deep practice before, if you've done one. If you do it and find it was really meaningful, please come back and tell me. Otherwise, I will see you next week, where we will be diving into phase 3, which is our store phase, and we will be diving into, is it a no idea? Is it a now idea? Or is it a not now idea? It's one of my favorite conversations to have. I hope you have a wonderful day, week, month, whenever you watch this, and I will see you next time. Bye.